What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining the Buckeye Remix presented by the OffTheBallNetwork.com. I'm Jeff from Jeff Needs Sports. This is my new weekly episode. We're going to review the High State, hopefully, victories every week. We're going to start with High State versus Nebraska, week one. High State 52, Nebraska 17. It was a good day to be a Buckeye fan. Once again, this show, I'm a sports podcaster, but this show is about me being a Buckeye fan, born and bred. I cannot hide the bias. So, I'm going to watch these games every week and watch them grow and learn as everyone else does. So that's what this is about. So it was a really good Saturday. Most importantly, it was just great to have the Buckeyes back. It's been a long year for everybody, for many different reasons. But it kind of felt normal. It was a cool Saturday morning here in Ohio. For those of you who don't know, I'm about 60 minutes from the stadium itself. So the atmosphere was great. I thought the team, looked really nice. We'll get into that here in a second. But overall, it just felt normal, and it felt great. It felt a lot of fun. So let's get into a little bit. Knee-jerk reactions. So the first one I'll get out of the way is I saw today they came out. The ratings for yesterday's game against Nebraska were the highest of the college football weekend. So Ohio State Nebraska at noon in week one was the highest rated college football game of the weekend. So it goes back to what I said when originally a couple months ago we thought that the Big Ten season was postponed. I had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, eyeballs will just switch over." And, my take on it as a Buckeye fan, of course I'm biased. I tried to, my point was like, no, Buckeyes have, some people argue it's the largest fan base in the world for different reasons, but you can't argue that it's one of the largest, if not, and especially for TV eyeballs. Ohio State, really, really pushes the needle on college football. And that proved it yesterday. Game one at noon, highest rated game of the weekend over everything else. So I just want to say that a lot of people want to watch the Buckeyes play for whatever reason. If you want to, they might want to watch them lose. Most of us want to watch them win, but regardless, people want to watch them. But basically, the knee jerk was, first of all, Justin Fields. We'll get into him in a second. We could do a whole show on how great Justin Fields is. Justin Fields looked good. He looked ready for the season. I thought most importantly, he wasn't. It didn't look like he was too amped or anything for the game. As soon as he stepped on the field, he had total control. Obviously, we can look at some of his stats here in a minute, but Justin Fields really looked nice. Defense obviously needs some work. It's tight, and we saw this too with even the great teams, Alabama, Clemson, they start their season. Clemson not as much, but even Alabama had slips on defense. They got guys in the wrong position and stuff. They got guys going the wrong direction every now and then. You're working to play as a unit, and that is hard to do on the fly, especially when you jump into conference play. You don't have the quote unquote cupcakes to start out with, and you didn't have spring ball, which is huge. We talked about that. So the defense obviously is going to be a work in progress. They're going to have the athletes on the field, just recruiting wise. They're going to have athletes, and sorry about that. Thanks. So they're going to have the athletes on the field. I'm not worried about that. Nebraska really didn't test the secondary in the passing game. We'll get into that a little bit. But overall, yeah, I'm still, I hate to harp on it every week, and I don't want to feel like I'm bashing them. The linebacking core, the guys are veterans. They know what they're doing. They know where to be, but just sometimes the lateral movement and just the pure athleticism it concerns me when it comes to when I grade them against the really good teams, in college football. So I'm concerned about that, but it is what it is. We're going to work with what we got. These guys are super good at the line of scrimmage, and they're super smart, which helps. I don't doubt that, but I'm concerned a little bit with that. But it is what it is. Thought the offensive line looked great. Really, really impressed with how they played as a unit. I thought they made some really good holes in the running game. That they blocked pretty well for Fields. There seemed to be a little bit of disconnect there. But I think that's early game jitters. He probably took a couple hits that he may not take later on in the season. But as a unit, I thought the offensive line looked pretty swell. Regardless, the rushing numbers were down a little bit. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But overall, I just knee jerk. Thought the defensive line played good as a unit. I thought they looked really tough in the up front, in the tackle area. Once again, gotta tell you, I'm learning these guys' names and stuff as everybody is. I by no means did I study the roster or anything because I was so scared there wasn't going to be a season. Full disclosure, so I'm learning these guys. Obviously Seven Banks, great name, great touchdown, scoop and score. That's great. That was fun. So just knee jerk. But overall, I think the takeaway is the passing game looks. It's one of the best in the country, right up there with Clemson, Alabama, which is the two teams that we compare them with the most. The passing game just looked phenomenal. They couldn't cover the wide receivers. There was so much space out there. Wilson is such a problem out of the slot, especially, and he will be for every team he plays. I mean, he's obviously NFL talent. Olave is just Olave being Olave. We can talk about the great touchdown by Jackson Smith and Jigba. What a great, one of the greatest catches in Ohio State history. That's not hyperbole. Just look at it. For a freshman to come in, scores a touchdown first game, just total awesome, man. That was great. Yes, Austin, the Hoosiers, a great game. We're going to talk a tad bit about that later. That a fantastic game between Penn State and the Hoosiers last night. But so overall, my knee jerk was the offense looks great. Defense needs work. Some athletes out there. I thought the coaching staff did a good job. I thought it was a pretty well called game. We'll get into that a little bit, but overall it's a heck of a lot of fun. And the biggest thing was that it was good to see him play. That's the overall takeaway. So, we're going to start with Fields here. We can we'll put up some of his stats here, but just crazy numbers. Justin Fields, 20 for 21 passing, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. The one touchdown early on, it's a 50-yard rope. He couldn't have walked it down there and handed it to Wilson better than he threw that ball. Just amazing, the arm on this guy. That was awesome. The only incompletion was Olave. Has it in his hands in the end zone. It would have been a real tough catch. Usually he makes it, to be honest with you. Gets it knocked away. So that's the one incompletion. The one incompletion was a possible touchdown on the guy's hands. So what a great game by Fields. Handled total control of the whole game. His running, his legs. 54 yards. The touchdown he had was just pure. Just sense of where he was in the field. There were 6 guys around him from Nebraska, and he still squeaks through there. So just an amazing. I really think that Fields. I said, which I don't want him to do by any means. I'm on record for saying he should have took off his pads at halftime, just waited for the NFL draft. That's how good of he looked yesterday. But he's not going to do that. We know. We hope not. But great game by Justin Fields. Just fantastic player, man. He might be the best we've seen at Ohio State. I know it's early, but my goodness, he's good. So then let's talk about the running game a little bit before we get to the wide receivers. So when I say disappointed, it was because it just didn't seem like we had the explosion that we're typically used to. I think that the holes were there, and I spoke about this with some of the members of the Buckeye Nation board that we all chat on. Sorry about that. But it felt like the holes were there, more than they appeared, and the running backs I just couldn't quite get a feel, for who is actually the starter. Master Teague looked like Master Teague, which is great coming off an injury. I'm glad he looked good. Sermon, I don't want to say disappointed, but I just don't think he was quite comfortable. I know he's a heck of a running back, and it's going to be fine. But I'll just say, as of yesterday, I thought they missed some opportunities. We're definitely missing the explosion of a JK. So, overall, they were just all right. But I think as a power running game, they're going to be fine. We had a few touchdowns. It was nothing like that, but it just felt like something was not quite clicking there. I want to know who's going to be Fields' partner in that backfield. I mean, if you're going to run all the RPO and stuff that they can run, he's got to have a partner. They got to be in sync. And I thought there was a little bit of separation when they're running all the guys in and out, but that's going to be game one. You're going to have that. That's just, it's a learning curve. I mean, Ryan Day was, he's coaching as he's trying to win a game, and you win a game by 35 and learn something about your team. That's a heck of a advantage to have in college football. So, we'll see. The wide receiver group, once again, I don't know what else I can say about these guys. Obviously, they're totally one of the best in the country. I felt bad the kid for Alabama went down last night. So that's probably the wide receiving core that I compare these guys to the most. But just I was surprised actually how many times they went empty sets and went 5 wide receivers. But there's just so much talent out there. You got to keep them. They're going to be a problem once they start getting in tune here in a couple of weeks. They're going to be a real problem. Wilson's just a superstar. Olave is amazing. I'm sure the other guys will pop up. We already seen what Jackson can do. It was really, really impressive. Really impressive group they got. And then just the passing game in general between Fields and the wide receivers, just they're gonna be great. They're gonna put up some numbers this year. So we'll talk about the defense a little bit here. I suppose, like, once again, I'm not going to. We can let's look at some stats here. And I know stats are misleading because total yards. Nebraska, it was a weird thing. So Nebraska did a couple things. They obviously came into that game. I'm not saying they were going to try and win the game, but they obviously were going to try and basically run a rushing attack, an option attack, and not. I honestly think Scott Frost was also trying not to give up 100 points. They never really got out of that. They didn't test the outside at all. I have no idea how our cornerbacks and safeties really played because the ball was never in the air. It just felt like we can look at the passing yards was 160. Let's see what they attempted here. So, they attempted 16 passes. It's just, there was just nothing in the air for these guys to find out, what these guys were going to do. So that was a little weird. So I have no idea. The jury's out on the secondary. I have no idea how they're going to play. Once again, a little disappointed with the defense against the rushing attack, but I understand RPOs are hard. I don't want to kill these guys. It felt like they get caught up in space like they've been doing. I've seen some guys getting sucked inside and stuff, but that could totally change in a week. And maybe Nebraska's running game's a little better than I think. I don't think they quite knew who their quarterback is either. I think McCaffrey's going to wind up being the quarterback, but neither one of them were blowing anybody away. But once again, defensive line looked good as a unit. I don't know who the standout's going to be. They seem to have 6 or 7 really good players. It seems like they have good size in the middle, which is impressive. As far as getting gouged in the running game, and when you go up against these later in the Big Ten season, because this year is going to get a little late. It's going to get a little cold and a little messy out there. Teams are going to have to run the ball. So I'm glad to have some size and some strength up the middle. And they got the scoop and score. They got a couple turnovers. Good game overall. Good game overall. So, but I was impressed with them. I was really impressed with them. Then so let's talk about. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So for the audio, this is live on video too, so we interact with our fans and stuff. So it is quite a thing. So all right, let's talk about the week 1 grade card. This quarterback A+. Fields was amazing. He's a generational talent. Did not disappoint at all. I don't see it. There's no weaknesses in his game. There really aren't as far as where he's at. So we're fine. A++ by him. Wide receivers A+. I've already said enough about him. You can tell how much I love the wide receivers already. But man, they were great. Wilson, I think Wilson stood out, and I had a couple people agree. I think Wilson stood out the most as the biggest troublemaker for other teams. Really impressed with that guy can do. And people told me that last year. Olave, we're gonna get into his next week or not. I don't know sure the news on him. I'm going to rant about that just in a few minutes here after we get done with the grades. So running backs, I was pretty hard. I gave him a B-. Just didn't see the explosiveness. A little indecisive and not sure they were comfortable with the option game. But that'll change. I know they're good players. They got, they might have 4. They got 4 good players out there. So, but as of now, as of yesterday, I think Iowa State would have been happy to let them run, for 400 yards, and they just wasn't up to it. So it is what it is. But I think they'll be fine. I mean, Sermon looks healthy and he looks up to the challenge. So gave the O-line a B+, which is pretty good for as a unit. It might have been higher, but except for I can't. If I'm going to be hard on the running game, I got to ding the O-line a little bit. I thought in general, they looked like a really nice squad. Some pretty good movement. There were some breakdowns, but you're going to have that, in football. So give them B+. They gave the D-line a B, and it's really a tough one because when you're not dropping back to pass, the pass rushers they're not going to get glorified like what we saw with Chase Young last year. So I gave him a B just because that's all we got to see is them fighting against the option more than anything. They had some sacks, looked really good, but just not enough to see. The linebackers, I gave a C. I know I killed them. You guys can tell me how wrong I am. I don't know what to do when I see them. When I see them in space and I see them and it looks like they don't, that they can't, catch a guy or they get sucked inside. I got to grade them hard on that. I hate to be like that. I mean, Borland's been there forever. I know he's a pro, but I don't mean to know if he's a pro, but you know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. The secondary, incomplete. I have no idea. They did not get tested enough. I mean, to judge them whatsoever. I don't think Nebraska is going to keep any secondary up all night, worry about them. So as of now, I have no idea what the secondary is going to do. And they're going to find out next week versus Penn State for sure. So let's get into real quick. I want to get into something. So, good game, Buckeyes. Great victory. I will take a 35-point victory. Game one, all day long. So super, super happy for them, in general, healthy. So I feel good. Feel good about where we're at. This is definitely the team that we thought we were going to have. Let's talk a little bit about this Nebraska, this targeting issues. So we're watching the game yesterday, and you all saw it. The first one, the first targeting was overturned, and that's one of and that was to me it was targeting because we all see this when it's a good team, when it's Ohio State and they think it might be targeting, it's always targeting. They always throw the guy out. They always lean towards the better team. I don't know what it is, a pity party, whatever the refs have, but they always lean towards the better team. So we saw with Nebraska, they overturned the first one. Then the next couple, when you have defensive backs leaving their feet and they've got their hands low and they're launching into receivers who have the ball, I just want to say that's a coach thing. That has been coached out of the game. So you have to coach that into the game. This isn't 1990. These kids didn't grow up playing this way. There's been a focus on taking head injuries and launching and targeting out of the game for the last 5 or 6 years. So I don't want to hear that it's tough football or it's part of the game. It's a joke. Because I thought about it, I was like, if Alabama's athletes did that, if Alabama's safeties threw themselves around like that, they would probably put somebody out for the rest of the season. And I don't want to hear about this tough play like the fumble on Olave. If a guy fumbles because you hit him in the head so hard that he lets go of the ball, that's exactly what they're trying to get out of the game. That was not a clean hit. That wasn't a hit in the midsection. It wasn't a hit on the football to dislodge it. It was old fashioned hitting a guy in the head so he drops the ball. So that is no place in the game. I mean, you can want the guy is a foot off the ground, jumping into a receiver as he's being tackled. That is literally what they're trying to take out of the game. So I don't want to hear it from Nebraska. If you can call it dirty, but it's coached. They're obviously coached. Like they do that a lot with the weaker team. They coach them to play a certain way. And I thought the refs let them get away with a little bit too much. They should have thrown, all these kids out, and there's no place for it. Ohio State can't play that way. Alabama can't play that way. Clemson can't play that way. We all know the famous play last year, Shaun Wade, of what they consider targeting, and what the guys, from Nebraska were doing yesterday was just ridiculous. So I just want to say that I put all the blame on the Nebraska coaching staff, and I'm not letting them off the hook for this. That was not incidental. It's not just tough football. It's nobody whining. It's ridiculous. And, if Olave misses any time for it, that's not right. You can't. You're putting teams, possibly championship teams, season at risk because you don't want to play the game the way it's meant to. Not happy with it at all. So I don't want to hear anything about Scott Frost whining about running the score up or anything. I wish we'd have scored 80 on them now. I really do. Very, very not cool. Just not cool, Nebraska. That's on you. So next week, Penn State. Man, already this is crazy. Penn State on Halloween night. It's not going to be the normal madhouse that I can't imagine what that would have been like, in a typical year, but it's not. But still, it's a big deal. It's a night game at 7:30. Penn State lost last night, but we all know that doesn't matter. Penn State's they're gonna play tough. They're gonna be up to the challenge. We know that their quarterbacks. I don't care who we play or they come off the bench. The third stringer will look like Joe Montana against us. We've got to be ready. Franklin's, a good coach, and this is the game that he coaches for every year. Like, this is the series that he needs to win. He needs the high state victories, and so I believe that if anything, that might have something to do with last night, them losing to Indiana. Great game by Indiana, by the way. You look good. You deserved it. What an amazing finish. But so yeah, Penn State this week. I would say they will turn Mr. Fields loose a little more, which could bode bad for the Nittany Lions. But who knows? We don't know the weather this time of year. It's going to be crazy. At some point we're all going to be, throwing stuff or saying things that we regret, overreacting, if you will. I know I do personally, allegedly. So, but yeah, I'm ready for it. Got a good week coming. And that's it. That's the Buckeye Remix. We come in and out every week, just to kind of reset the week and talk about this stuff. Hopefully, we talk about victories all year. To you guys, it's going to get a little more important as the season goes on. We know that, but as of next week, big game. That's our biggest ranked game. Kind of on our schedule. That as of now, we know things are going to change, but as of now, it's a big deal. So High State needs this one to kind of launch themselves into that discussion with Alabama and Clemson, because they're a little ahead of them on the curve. But we're ready. We're ready. Good week, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining and watching. Really, really had a great time. This is kind of a passion project of mine. So everybody listening, make sure you subscribe to Jeff Needs Sports. We appreciate it. Check out, my work and all the guys' work on offtheballnetwork.com. We're doing a lot of crazy stuff on there. I got college rankings coming out Monday. I got the NFL rankings coming out Tuesday. So we're going to keep that going. Plus, there's the other content creators on there. Got a ton of stuff. We just recently put up the quarterback rankings. There's some great articles that have been written in the last week. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. And we do a lot of live shows. So yeah, I got a lot of good things going on. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Go Bucks, beat Penn State, and we will see you next week, everybody.